She's still got some of the afterbirth stuff to deal with. That's why we got her inside here. And it's a rough day. Rough day.
From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night.
Hey everybody, it's Brad.
And I'm Christa.
Big Family Homestead. Hope you're having an awesome day. Truthfully.
Yeah.
Today's been pretty rough, to be honest. Want to talk about dealing with death on the farm. It's pretty fresh for us. Well, what I figure we'll do is we'll tell you what was going on with our experience today with our sheep. And then we'll share kind of some ideas and advice for folks who are wanting to get more animals in your life, whether it's a homestead or a farm or whatever.
Right.
Because there's some things that you're going to absolutely have to deal with.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And what's the saying? If you have livestock,
You have dead stock.
it's inevitable.
It is inevitable. You can't think that every single one of your animals is going to survive forever. It's just life. It just happens.
Yeah. And so getting ready to tell you what happened, but here's the scoop. First of all, I want to say prayers for Faith and Family's husband who's in the hospital.
With pneumonia.
We'll be rooting for you.
Yeah.
We'll be praying.
Yeah.
Also, this is a live stream, so if you want to add something, you're more than encouraged to add something to the conversation, so you can ultimately, hopefully, help people get through stuff, because that's where we're at.
Yep.
So, do you want to start with how our sheep Bo Peep? This is what happened. Well, you saw the prolapse.
Right. So Thursday evening, she had a vaginal prolapse and a rectal prolapse. So the vet came out, did some stitching and fixed things, and he said, just keep an eye on her. She could go in less than a week. So
into labor.
Yep, into labor. So we've been diligently watching her, and
middle of the night last night.
Middle of the night. It's how how these things work. In the middle of the night, she had a lamb, and it was gone when we went out there this morning.
When we saw it,
right,
the lamb was gone.
Right. So I said, well, you know what? Let's bring her inside. Let's just check, because usually a first-time lambing, it's generally just one. But let's just double check to make sure she doesn't have another one. Sure enough, there was another one in there.
Yeah.
And
it wouldn't
come out. I think what happened was she had the first lamb and then her contractions stopped, and so she couldn't push that one out, and her cervix was starting to close down, and the head was too big to come out through there, and
she was stuck.
It was stuck. So called the vet again.
And
because we tried for an hour.
Yeah.
To get the lamb out,
because we were concerned that the lamb was already dead.
Yeah.
And then it has to come out, or else the sheep will die. And we've had to deal with this before.
Yep.
It's no fun.
No.
But the vet was a total rock star. He changed his schedule to get out here ASAP, and he did. And also a friend of ours who's here in the chat.
Yep, Jess.
She's a neighbor and a friend, and she came over just right away, and she's got experience with humans doing this. Right,
and it's very similar reactions with humans and animals. So she was able to give us some hand. But the vet came out this morning and was able to get the lamb out. It had
a broken jaw.
It did. The jaw got broken, and the lamb was alive, but he had to euthanize her because the
jaw was broken.
It was not going to heal.
It would not be able to eat.
No, it would not heal. If it was broken in a different place, it would have healed, but it was not gonna.
The way he explained it to me was, if it had broken on one side, he could have done something, but the way that it was broken,
it wouldn't.
She had to be euthanized because she would not be able to eat any food.
Right. So
that'd just be cruel.
It would be cruel, and while I absolutely hate that,
it's a fact. If you have livestock, eventually you're going to have dead stock. And
but Bo Peep is
She's all
good.
right.
She's all right. She has passed her placenta, so she is actually. We did have her in the garage for several hours.
She kept busting out.
She kept busting out. So we put her back in the shelter by herself, but she's still able to see everybody. And it's.
Well, and another part to this is just horrible. Is that the baby had to it had to be taken care of in a way that no animals could get to it, because the medicine that he used to euthanize the lamb, if something were to eat it, like a wolf or something, coyote or whatever, it would go through a horrible, tragic death as well.
So it had the lamb had to be burned.
Yeah. Because we can't dig right now. Everything's frozen.
Everything's frozen. And even if we dug, it would have to be very deep before, so another animal wouldn't get to it. Right.
So dealing with this kind of thing, it's a reality. How many of you guys have had
livestock,
a pet, a pet that you just love and it just hurts? It can be really, really traumatic. And I think a lot of people have this rose-colored glasses kind of idea of farm life. You just you think of the picturesque thing with everything's just great.
Oh, everything's hunky dory, and everything is supposed to be perfect. Well, I'm sorry, if you have animals, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be poop. There's going to be pee. There's all that's going to be on you. You're going to get knocked over by a cow or a horse or even a goat or a sheep,
A calf knocked me on my butt.
Yeah, a calf knocked you down. There's going to be blood, sweat, tears. It's not easy. It's really not. I mean, like you said, everybody thinks that there's this idealistic, picturesque view of what a homestead should be like. It's not like that.
I didn't. Every once in a while, even a chicken will just be all of a sudden dead, and life happens.
Yeah.
And you can take the very best care of your animals.
Yeah.
You can absolutely. I mean, we should get frequent flyer miles from our veterinarian, because he's out here so often.
No kidding.
But you can take the best care of your animals, and things are just gonna happen. And I guess one of the things that that you got to think of before you get animals is, have you ever had a pet that you really cared for and it passed? Would you be able to do that on a different kind of scale? Would you be able to manage that? Because if you've got another animal, you're going to still have to take care of them. It's like if you have a loss in the family, well, guess what? The kids still got to get cared for.
Yeah.
Or mom still needs to be cared for. Or you still need to be cared for. You can't just go into your own grieving hole.
Yeah.
And so you've got to kind of decide for yourself before you get animals, is this something that I can handle? Not that you won't grieve, because of course you'll grieve, and you'd be kind of heartless if you didn't.
Right.
Even the animals that you're going to use as food, they should still be cared for, 100%.
Of course, without a doubt. Yeah.
But, we don't have hundreds of animals, and we're not doing commercial farming, and I don't ever desire to do that.
No.
Because I think it's just a wrong way to do it. I understand people got to make a living. I really do. And I understand that there is a demand for it. I get all that. It's just not how we feel is a good way to go about raising animals that are going to be food. So one of the tips that we did when we first got chickens, and we knew we were going to get meat chickens, and we had never butchered chickens before. So one of the things that we did was we always named them food names initially. And I know that might sound really weird, but in my mind, it just made it kind of a little bit easier if you know that that's General So. He's going to be something. They're sweet. They're sour. And you made that connection that this animal is going to be food.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we do with our beef
Meat
cows,
animals.
we generally name them.
And I know there's other people that
Yeah.
would honestly say, well, you don't understand that. Well, you got to make the connection that it's going to be food.
Yeah.
Yes, you care for it. You take care of it. You need a vet. You do that. All of that stuff. You love on them, but you got to keep it in your head that this animal has a purpose, and it is not a pet, even though you may sometimes treat them like pets.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a couple questions that have been asked. This was her first lambing, and from what our vet has told and experienced from others is this will be her last lambing. Since she prolapsed, she'll be prone to do it again, so she will not have any more lambs. We will not rebreed her.
No, because she would probably get hurt and die.
Yeah. It would not be. It would be worse the next time than this time. But
and so, I apologize for making that snap decision, because I did. Usually, Christa and I will talk about any kind of decision that's of importance, and we have to be in agreement 100%. But when I heard what he said, instantly I was like, well, she's a pet. I'm keeping her.
yeah.
So, because there was a point where we were thinking, well, there's a friend of our family who would definitely use her for meat if she was going to die.
Right.
If it was not going to be a good thing.
Yeah. If
we
we
could feed her, they could feed his family.
right. If she were going to need to be, if something was wrong with her, then we would not euthanize her. We would butcher her for meat.
Yeah.
A friend of ours would.
Yeah.
Because
no reason.
there's no reason to waste. An animal that God has given us.
That would be wasteful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad stewardship.
Right. Also, the Nebo asked if the kids were okay. They are sad, but they're doing fine. They're okay.
They were here for the whole thing. They were helping.
Well, they weren't here for all of it. I did.
Not the very last part.
Yeah, the last part, the last bit when the vet got here, I sent them packing because
I was out there because I just wanted to, I don't know, maybe say goodbye. But
yeah, but
that was no fun.
The kids did not need to see. They need to see a lot of things, but not quite everything.
Not yet.
No, not
They're
yet.
still
They're
kids.
still young. They still need to have innocent.
Well, they've seen animals die.
Innocence,
They've seen animals
yes.
be butchered.
Yes.
But this was different when that
This is
lamb
different.
had to be euthanized.
Right. This is different.
I mean, just birth canal.
Yeah.
And he was out there. He took her out. Excuse me. Not thinking super clearly right now. So, Pamela says, my husband and I have always wanted to build our own homestead. Unfortunately, we've never had the chance or ability to. However, we live in the country and not the city. We have raised chickens and pigs.
Good.
Cool.
Good.
So if you're living in the city, then
No, she's living in the country, not city.
Oh, we live in the country, not the city. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just read it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's time to get some rabbits.
Yeah. I don't recommend rabbits, but because they're too cute and fluffy, and
I love rabbits.
they're so cute. And
Of course, I'm a pushover.
you really are.
I'm worse than you.
You are, but that's okay.
It's like, nope, the sheep is going to
Yeah.
be a pet now. We're not getting rid of her.
I know. She is an absolute sweetheart of a sheep. I keep saying goat because we've had goats for so
I keep
long.
saying goats too.
I know. We've had goats for so many years. It's really difficult to switch over to sheep mentally.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were going to keep going.
I was done.
One of the things that is a positive out of this is that if we so desired, we could keep her in milk because she is in milk, and we could milk her and make feta cheese and stuff like that. Some farm cheeses.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be helpful. I don't know how long we could keep her in milk.
I don't know. I even thought about, going and buying a bottle baby, a little lamb or a little calf, or not calf, darn it, goat, just to be able to.
Sheep.
No, I know. I said a lamb or a goat. Either one. I don't. But I'm not sure how exactly we could finagle that so that she would accept the lamb. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where you're gonna have to have a little bit thicker skin. You're just gonna have to have a little bit thicker skin.
Yeah, you can't have all of these animals that you have allotted for food and then, well, I can't do it. I just can't.
Because what'll happen to you is exactly what happened to me today. They'll become pets.
Right. And then, I mean, we've already got a pet goat.
Yeah.
And now we have a pet sheep.
Yeah.
And now we have to build a second pen to keep our rams in because she can't get bred.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, when we borrowed the idea for doing this with the sheep from Bear Independent, it was his idea, and I think it's a great idea. We got this flock of sheep with the intention of raising them in breeding pairs and then gifting them to families so that they can raise them for breeding pairs. Then they can harvest the meat that they need and then bless another family and keep going and keep going. And he jokingly called them Hebrew starter kits.
Right.
And I thought, man, that's a great idea. What a great way to bless people. And so that's why we did it. It's just been really not exactly what we expected right off the bat.
No. I honestly don't think I was mentally prepared for
The first
lambs this year. I mean, I knew that they were pregnant. I knew that they were due any time. I just don't think I don't think I was mentally prepared for what all of that entailed.
Kim is asking, can she be fixed like a cat or a dog?
I think so, but that would be quite costly.
It'd be way expensive.
To do a hysterectomy. And actually, what's not comical, but I actually mentioned that to our vet. Said, "Hey, can't you just cut it all out right now?" He's like, "No, that would be a bad idea." He didn't say it like that. He didn't say it condescending or anything. He said that would be a bad idea right now. Because there's a lot of blood vessels it would be a very bloody mess.
Let's just say it this way. It was an invasive day. That's the way I could probably put that the most kind.
Yeah.
It was a very invasive day. And if you did more, then it would most certainly cause a problem.
Yeah.
And but another thing that we think of when we're raising animals, the death part, I'll just tell you, it doesn't get easy.
No.
It never gets easy.
It shouldn't get easy. Here's what we should say. It shouldn't get easy. If you don't have the care and love for these animals that God has given you, you shouldn't have these animals.
Even if they're intended for food.
Right. Even if they're intended for food, you should still have empathy for this animal that God has given you and the life that it is giving to feed your family.
Well, and here's a thing, just side thing on like butchering chickens even. We raise our own meat and butcher the chickens. We do it ourselves. The very first time we raised chickens, we didn't know what we were doing. And remember, we took it to that butcher place, and it basically
that was the end.
Scared the bejesus out of my son, and it was this butcher was not. It was not a clean place. It was a disgusting place. It was
gross.
And
that was the end of that for chickens.
We saw how they did it, and they were rough, and they just grabbed them. To them, it was just a thing.
It was not a living thing to them. So they were very rough with the animals, and we will never take chickens to a butcher again. We have found a butcher here locally who is very kind and gentle to our cows and to the pigs that we had processed last year and the year before.
Family.
He's a Mennonite fellow, and he's very kind to the animals. So,
but even just back to the chickens that that was the moment that we were like, if we are going to continue eating chicken, we're doing this ourselves.
Exactly.
Because I don't want those animals to go through any more trauma or pain than they absolutely have to. The goal for us is they're raised and protected and even loved on, even though they're meat animals, until that very last second where they don't even know what's happening. Because we, like for chickens, for example, a lot of people will just whack the head off, right?
Yeah.
We don't do that. We do it what's considered a more kosher way, where you just have a super sharp razor and you just nick the artery.
Yeah.
And they're upside down in a cone. And that way they don't even realize what's going on until it's just lights out.
Done. And the reason for the not cutting off the head, see, if you cut off the head, you are severing the spinal cord, which then stops the heart from beating.
So there's more blood in the
So there's
meat.
more blood in the meat. However, if you cut the vein, the heart continues to pump, and
Yep.
it will eventually, well, not eventually, it will pump out all of the blood from the
majority,
body.
yep.
So it is technically the lifeblood bled out of the chicken.
So yeah, if you're going the kosher route, that's the way.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. We have watched several videos, and that is, in our minds, that's the proper way
and
to
that's
do
how
it.
that's how kosher butchers do it.
Yeah.
And I'm sold because it's the least amount of pain and trauma that the animal can go through.
Exactly.
You know. So I think that another thing that you got to think of before you get animals is start to prepare.
Yeah.
What I mean is before you even get the animals, you got to think about the ultimate outcome. How's this going to play out? How's it going to be done?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that way you're not taken aback when all of a sudden it's time. We've got some friends that just recently they had meat chickens for their first time, and we went over there to help them to get them through the process.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's not easy, you know, and well, we had been talking about it over the weeks as the chickens were getting older, and just kind of helping them to understand, okay, well, this is the process and this is how it's going to go. And that way it's kind of in their mind. And when it was the day to do it, it was surprisingly not traumatic
Not
in
at
any
all.
way for them.
Right.
No
Not
way.
at all. The wife had a lot of anxiety going into it, but I think having us there and not joking about actually the butchering of the animals, but just making
Having
jokes and
jovial.
having fun and
Yeah.
not being so serious about it, that helped comfort her and it helped calm her down. So
That's a great point, Palmetto Paratrooper. I appreciate that greatly.
Yes.
If
Yes.
killing ever becomes easy, one should probably seek some help.
Right.
Because you're
Yeah.
taking a life.
Exactly. You're taking a life, and that
It should never be taken lightly. And another thing that we do, actually, guys, this is straight up, and I know not everybody, well, you know what? It is what it is. We will say a prayer before we start. Like if it's the day to process chickens, we'll get everything ready, get it all set out, get the water, get everything sharp,
everything shut up,
ready to
or
go,
set up, not
we
shut up.
get the chickens in a place where they're going to be very easily. You can grab them, the kids will grab them, and we have a system all set up.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a routine.
But before we do anything, we will pray, and we will ask that God will help us to make this quick and painless. And we thank Him for providing for our family with this food, and we understand in prayer that this is His blessing poured into our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that really does help when you understand this was provided to us by God. We have got to be good stewards and make sure that we're thankful and that we have due diligence so that we're ready to go, and the animals don't go through as much, as
Right.
the little amount that they
Right.
can.
Right. So Susie is saying, I read all of James Harriet books.
What are those?
James Harriet is a veterinarian in England, in the 30s, I believe. And he wrote all of these books, and there was a TV show that came out called All
them chickens.
No, all things bright and beautiful, all things I can't remember the title. Susie, if you can help me out with the title, I'd appreciate that. But there was a TV show that came out in the 80s or 90s. Great TV show. Very clean, very wholesome. I absolutely love this TV show. And then they've just started to redo the show. But I want to get those books and get them on audiobooks so that I can listen to them.
While you're working and stuff.
1920s. Okay, yep. I couldn't remember when it was, but really, really cool veterinary stories and something I wish I would have known about. All things great and small. That's it.
Oh, cool.
All creatures great and small.
Yeah.
I can't remember where you can watch it. I think it's on Amazon, but great TV show. Anyway,
BP Devo, I want to comment on that because I actually brought this up in conversation today. Processing our own food should keep us mindful that it's all part of the curse of sin. Absolutely. You
said the same thing.
I brought it up today because it was so painful in my heart when that poor little lamb had to be euthanized, and I just thought, all of this because of the fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It all started back in the Garden of Eden, and we can't just go, Adam or Eve, gosh, you guys are wrong. I never would have done that. Right. We all would have done it. And it is, the weight of sin is death. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And none of this would have happened had we just been faithful.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. So anyway, we're not going to stay on long today because, well, frankly,
we're exhausted.
It was emotionally
and physically exhausting. And I know it, not even physically and emotionally exhausting for us as for Bo Peep. She lost both of her babies.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably go check on her in a little bit.
Yeah, that was the plan. After we were done here, I was going to go check on her. And we actually have another sheep that is getting close to lambing.
Yeah.
So got to keep a close eye on there. And of course, these other two are not, they're the skittish sheep. They don't want to be close by you, and they don't want to be around. And so it's going to be tricky. I need to get a shepherd's hook.
Gotta make one.
Yeah.
One last thing, guys. Just before we go, the music that you're hearing is stuff that I've written that's for memorizing scripture. And I'm going to play you one here. If you've been around, you've heard it, but they're free. You can go to our store and download them. I want you to get them and listen to them and hide that word of God in your heart because, it's the word of God.
Yeah.
You need it, and it's going to get increasingly more important as the days go on here.
Yeah.
So here's a tune for you.
Before you play that, I need to read VJ's comment because it is beautiful. It'll make being with God at the end of the age even more special and amazing.
It's true.
It's true. Amen.
All right, you guys. Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day.
Have been united with him in a death like his. We shall certainly be united with him in a resurrection like his. We know that our old self was crucified with him in order that the body of sin might be brought to naught. set free from sin. Now if we have died with Christ, we believe that we will also live with him. We know that Christ being raised from the dead will never die again. Death no longer has dominion over him. For the death he died to sin. What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin that grace may abound? By no means, how can we who died to sin still live in it? Do you not know that all of us who have been baptized into Christ Jesus were baptized into his death? We were buried therefore with him by baptism into death, in order that just as Christ was raised. Once for all, but the life he lives to God. So you also must consider yourselves and to sin and alive to God in Christ Jesus. What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin that grace may abide?